President Donald Trump has publicly threatened a direct military strike against Iran's nuclear infrastructure, specifically naming a site known as Pickaxe Mountain. The geography of this facility makes a traditional airstrike almost completely ineffective. Pickaxe Mountain is carved deep inside a sprawling network of mountain tunnels, placing the core infrastructure far out of reach from conventional bunker-busting bombs. Following a series of attacks on its other nuclear sites last year, Iran relocated a massive stockpile of its enriched uranium straight into these subterranean vaults to shield it from overhead destruction. Containing this standoff is rapidly draining American resources. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently testified that the military has already spent $6.2 billion managing the Iranian conflict, and he is actively asking Congress for another $4.7 billion to keep operations running. Other nations are now leveraging this tension for cash. Pakistan is currently navigating its own financial crisis and is acting as a backdoor mediator between the U.S. and Iran. In exchange for managing those talks, Islamabad is requesting a massive $1 billion loan from Washington. Because destroying Iran's nuclear geography from the air is physically unworkable and financially exhausting, Washington is quietly activating a secondary strategy. They are arming Iran's biggest regional rival. To counter Iranian influence and block Chinese or Russian energy partnerships in the region, the U.S. has approved a multi-billion-dollar civilian nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia. Championed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to power his Vision 2030 project, the arrangement is legally structured as a 1-2-3 agreement. When the United States shares sensitive nuclear technology with foreign governments, they generally require the recipient to agree to strict legal guardrails, known as the gold standard. The gold standard requires a binding legal promise that the host nation will never enrich uranium or reprocess plutonium on its own soil. It is the core mechanism used to ensure an energy program cannot be quietly converted into a weapons program. Saudi Arabia flatly refused to sign those terms, and rather than walk away from the table, the U.S. government agreed to drop the gold standard from the deal entirely. Washington also surrendered a major oversight tool. They removed the protocol granting international inspectors the authority to conduct sudden, unannounced checks on suspicious facilities. Under this new deal, Saudi Arabia will maintain heavy control over what foreign inspectors are allowed to see. By erasing the enrichment ban and blocking surprise inspections, the U.S. is dismantling the legal frameworks designed to keep nuclear energy peaceful. They are providing the physical infrastructure for a weapons-capable program, while removing the laws intended to stop one. This chart highlights the mathematical threshold of uranium enrichment. To run a civilian power plant, uranium only needs to be enriched to about 3 to 5%. But to construct a functional nuclear weapon, that concentration has to be scaled up to roughly 90%. The mechanical danger lies in the hardware. The exact same machines, these tall, cylindrical centrifuges, are used to reach both the safe 5% level and the lethal 90% level. A country doesn't need to invent new technology to turn civilian fuel into bomb fuel. They simply have to leave the uranium spinning inside these machines for a longer period of time. Because the U.S. surrendered the right to ban Saudi enrichment, they are relying on a highly secretive technological compromise to ensure those machines are never left running too long. It is a system known as a black box. Under this arrangement, American companies will physically construct and operate the enrichment plants in secret. Saudi Arabia receives the finished energy product to power its electrical grids, but Saudi scientists are physically barred from the facilities and denied the technical knowledge required to run the process themselves. Washington is attempting to provide the benefits of nuclear power while keeping the technical process under exclusive American management. It is an effort to deliver the fuel, but withhold the instructions on how to produce it. Non-proliferation experts are heavily criticizing this arrangement. Analysts are calling it a dirty deal, comparing it to buying an electric vehicle without a battery. The Saudis get the outer shell of a nuclear program, but none of the actual engineering capability. Even if Saudi Arabia managed to secure highly enriched uranium, they lack the tools to build a bomb today. They currently lack specialized weapons design infrastructure, have no testing facilities for complex explosives, and lack the deep bench of nuclear physicists required to make a warhead detonate. Developing that domestic capability will likely take another 15 to 20 years. Because this agreement is subject to constant political review, future U.S. lawmakers could intervene and suspend the deal before Saudi Arabia ever reaches that threshold. However, the psychological lines in the region are already drawn. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has stated publicly that if Iran ever successfully builds a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia will immediately follow suit. The U.S. is simultaneously threatening to strike Iran's fortified mountain bunkers while tearing up non-proliferation rules to build nuclear facilities for their regional rival. In the attempt to prevent a crisis, Washington is laying the physical groundwork for a legally sanctioned nuclear arms race across the Middle East.